Okay, I'll try and do this. Apparently, my videos were very popular. Not only what people posted, but also emailed me. So I thought I would keep going. And also, there's a lot of things I need to cover for the game. And I know at least 2 or 3 players who are reading or watching these videos. Um, for my game, and I think also Changeling in general, Changeling the Lost in general, somebody had pointed out the fact that you are basically, um, like an abuse survivor, and that some people may have a lot of trouble playing that. And I can kind of see that, yes. Um, Definitely in my game, where the way I do this, because I have played this game before, I've ran this game before, is that it's there, and everybody knows it's there, but it doesn't really come into play unless you put it into play in some way, shape, or form. So, for instance, if you were the typical changeling who was abused, quote unquote, in Arcadia, um, everything you do does, the fact that you come back and you hang out with other changelings and you fear that they will come back and yada yada, and you prepare for them by joining court. That is working it out. I don't really make people dwell on that aspect of the game, just like I don't make people dwell on other um, horrible things that you can find in real life. Um, if I was to, like, let's say, rape, um, rape may be a plot hook in my games. Like, i.e., trying to find someone who raped a woman. Do revenge on for her. But that won't go into detail, right? And that won't. It would be something in the background. It wouldn't be, and it would be just stated. We wouldn't have to go into it, and definitely wouldn't have to play out some dramatic scene. You but I'd be very. Um, I rarely do themes like that in this game. Um, it's just that if I was for some reason to do it, I think that would be it. Um, just like, and it kind of lends itself to other things too, like sex in the game. Um, I've had players who wanted to, say, basically hook up in the game. And it kind of, and again, if they were doing gregariously, I wouldn't. But, it actually was part of the plot. And so what I've done in the past is say, okay, so what do you do? And they say, oh, we hooked up, or something to that effect. And that's something that everybody understands. We don't need to go into detail. So, and also it kind of goes in hand, like, in this game, there is a changeling court king named Blue Thomas, who basically owns a lot of the illicit drug trade, drug and sex trade in the city. So I will be mentioning issues that pertain to that, but we won't get into too much detail. And I think that's the best way to do it. If someone is very super sensitive, then I have to say, and I have met some of those too, that this probably isn't your game. And I understand. Because there are literally people who, even just the mention of a subject, will become, I've, I actually dated someone like that once. And I went out on a date once with someone like that. And literally, and it was very innocently, and I wasn't like making fun of it or whatever, but the issue of, it wasn't even about rape. It was what was it about? Oh, I can't remember. It seems like it was on TV or something, and somebody said something. Oh, I know what it was. It was Will and Grace, where Jack um, is talking to an older guy and says something to the effect like, "Oh, you're my daddy" or something like that, and he just like went off, and I'm like, "Holy crap! What the hell just happened?" So there's always going to be those people, and God love them, but it is a game that is supposed to be about those issues in some ways, at least. Um, and I think, though, it harkens back to what I said earlier in the other video, is that um, this can be a very lighthearted game. Just because it has like a background, the situation that you're in is kind of dark and heavy. The game itself can be played very lighthearted. I had in the Changeling game I had here in San Diego, I had a lady who played a little girl who was a beast. She was a squirrel, and she was very innocent, and yet she helped single-handedly with a few other changelings who were very outmatched with a vampire. She managed to hook his mouth with a fishing reel, and so it was just things like that, and there are scenes like that where it just becomes camp and it's real funny, and I mean that's really if that's what the type of character you want, that's fine. And if you want the more solemn, you know, angst character, that is fine too. There's room for everybody in a game like this, because the World of Darkness and Changeling the Lost itself is very much a sandbox type game where you say, okay, what's everybody doing? And one person goes, I'm going to the nightclub, and the other one goes, I'm going to go to the library and study. And, so in fact, that can kind of be a bad thing. You have to try and reel everybody together. But not to get off topic too much. My point being, though, is yes, it does have some very somber issues in it, but it's not that type of game totally. And I think it's very much, it is what you want to get out of it type of game. Alright, so think of that while you make your character. If you want to, make a character with lots of drama in their lives, and do it. And if you want to just make a character that's going to be the class clown, definitely make that character too. There's room for everybody at the table here.